Alright guys, today we're talking about E60 M5 versus F10 M5. And I'm doing this video as now you see a lot of the F10 M5s and E60 prices are kind of mixing up. By mixing up, I mean, trying to run over anybody here. I mean, as E60 M5 in the US prices go way up, and for a good sorted one now is what, 18, 19, 20 grand. For a banged up ones, man, it went from like 7, 8 grand up to like 13. You might be able to find one for 12, but it's probably one you don't want. F10 M5, you see those for like 18, 19 for like an earlier model. And then the later models are still like in the, I don't know, 22, 25. Some people asking 30, 40, depends on what year exactly and the miles and everything. So you're looking at, for the E60 M5, 507 horsepower. For the F10 M5, you're looking at 560. And there again, depending on what year, give or take a little bit. That's the general consensus on Google, the horsepower rating. Now, the F10 M5 has a lot more interior features because it's a newer car, right? So a little different navigation setup, a little different everything. But let's not forget the E60 M5 is no slouch at all. It is an older car. You still have Bluetooth, you still have all the creature comforts. But something that's similarly priced, it all depends on what you want. And that's the whole story. It's with anything. You know, it doesn't matter if it's diesel, if it's 4-cylinder stuff, 4-cylinder gas. Everybody has a preference. It's not only that, you know, it's when I bought the mini split AC for the shop, well, a lot of guys are central heat and AC guys. A lot of guys are mini split guys. It all depends on what you're into, like what your specific use is for it. Same with four-wheelers. You have your Yamaha Banshee guys, you have your Yamaha Raptor guys. They're both fast bikes, depends on what you're into. So the best way I can explain this car, E60 M5 is more like a Yamaha Banshee. It doesn't make a lot of power down low. It does make a lot of power up high. So F10 M5 is a twin turbo car. So you're gonna make all the power down low, but it doesn't rev as high as the E60 M5. Therefore, that makes low end power. So you get off the line, if it hooks up, get off the line faster in a race. But you see a lot of E60 M5s losing a lot of races. It's a very difficult car to launch. It takes a very vast understanding of this SMG box. And not only that, it takes a vast understanding of the SMG box just to keep it functioning, right? You have to understand what it is, how it operates, how many different systems in the car this SMG box is linked to. And that's another thing, a lot of people just don't understand that. It's linked to pretty much everything. And you have DSG, or dual clutch, in the F10 M5. You know, it's a newer looking car. Here's the thing. A lot of people will go buy the newest car they could possibly afford. They'll even take a lower model just to get newer. And we see this a lot, right? And you see people, I have friends that are the same way. Like, well, okay, sure, I could buy an M5, an older M5, but I could buy a 328i F30 for cheaper, and it's newer. Well, it depends on what you're into, to be totally honest. You know, in my opinion, I want something with the most options and the most features. I don't mind buying something a little older for that. Now, here's the other side of that. I had this conversation with Dean last night. A lot of people are gonna buy what the monthly payment, I'm trying to be quiet in this car, but it's like driving a freaking NASCAR around. A lot of people will just buy whatever the cheapest payment is. 95% of people finance cars. Luckily, I'm in the situation I don't have to finance cars to buy cars. Depends on how much it costs, right? I'm talking $40,000, $50,000, that's a different situation. So something 40, let's say you want to go buy a $50,000 car. Most BMWs get to $50,000 pretty quick, brand new, right? That'll get you like a, I don't know, like a 330i. I don't know how much, I'm not up on the brand new car prices, but you understand what I'm talking about. That's about roughly $1,000 a month for $50,000, and it's probably $900, depends on what your interest rate is and all that stuff. All right, so $900 a month. Now here's the catch. So you can get a 60-month or 72-month loan possibly on that car. Which loan you get also depends on the situation of your payment, right? So I'm trying to drive and do the same time. It's a little bit new to me. A little different camera mount here. So an older car you can't loan as long on, and you can't get a good of a rate on. So like comparable, I don't have the computer in front of me to run the numbers on it. So let's say a $20,000 used car, the payments are about the same as a $50,000 new car. Because instead of getting 3% interest, 2% interest, you're paying 5, 6, or 7. If you go to a bank on a used car, you're gonna pay 10, right? Just the way it is. And on a used car, not on a new car. On a new car at a bank, you're gonna pay what, 5% more than likely? Some places are running even 0% if you get it from finance from the dealer. And that all has a correlation to how much it costs too. So the whole thing is, people's gonna buy what they can afford through finance, right? That leaves the E60 M5 totally out of the question. That may not leave an F10 M5 out of the question because it's a lot newer. So from having a lot of finance cars in the past, you know, like a line of credit running, so I knew kind of how things worked. I got to know pretty good how things worked on loans. And an older the car, they might not even do a 3-year loan. They might want to do like a 2-year loan. Where if it's a newer used car, they might do a 4 or 5-year loan. Depends on how many miles are on the car, what make and model it is, how much you want to finance against it. So it might cost you more to buy a car that's 10 years old for $5,000 per month, or let's say 10 years old for $7,000 per month, than what it costs to buy a car that's 5 years old at $25,000 a month. It's just kind of the way it is. So you see a lot of people walk away from E60 M5. Another thing is too, E60 M5, you got to remember, for the last, you know, ever since it came out, 10, 15 years, at this point, they've been bashed relentlessly on forums, right? So they've had almost 95% negative reviews. And that goes back to people just don't understand the car. Unfortunately, with F10 M5, even on the S63 TU, people still blow them up. Unfortunately, when something's twin turbo, that allows you to put tunes on it that may not be good for the car. A little bit of lack of maintenance won't be good for the engine, and things like that. And they also had the rod bearing problems too. Anything you buy, especially from BMW at this point, that has big horsepower, over 500 horsepower, is probably going to have rod bearing problems, right? So you have to look at that. There's a lot of factors in it. So which is the best to buy? In conclusion, what's the best car to buy? I guess, like I said before, it all depends on your preference, right? As E60 M5s, there's not many around anymore. There's a handful. Your bank's not going to want you to buy that. They're not. They're going to more likely want you to buy the F10 M5. So unfortunately, that puts the E60 M5 in a spot. More collectors are going to buy this car coming up. You see the price going up. As a lot of these cars had simple problems and they get scrapped out because people don't understand them. The whole supply of them just goes down and down and down. And that's why you see the spike we're seeing here in the States, where the prices have nearly doubled on them. And now you see guys asking 30 grand for one of these cars with good miles on it. So that's gonna be it, guys. Kind of a complex video, but a lot of you guys asked, oh, E60 M5 is old, it's old, it's old. Yeah, but one thing about it, the F10 M5 and anything else will never have this sound. It's the only car with this sound. So, in conclusion, buy whatever you want. It's gonna be it, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you very soon. Have a good day.